This is News Center 6 at 6.
A small plane comes crashing down in Raleigh County today.
Just yards from Interstate 77, its occupants are in critical condition.
Good evening. Sherry has the night off. The plane crash happened around 10:30 this morning.
A husband and wife were headed to Myrtle Beach when, for some unknown reason, the plane lost power. A site like this on Interstate 77 usually engine apart to find the cause of the malfunction.
A raid in the foothills of McDowell County today could send someone to prison for 5 years. Authorities today discovered an elaborate moonshine still. Teresa Hamilton went along with authorities and has this exclusive report.
Yes, it's a challenge, you know.
Killing have all pleaded innocent.
West Virginia law enforcement officials received help today in their efforts to curb domestic violence. The weapon, a new law signed by Governor Caperton this morning, allows police to make arrests without actually witnessing assaults. Police can now make misdemeanor domestic violence arrests without a warrant when there is probable cause. The new law creates 2 new crime categories, domestic battery and domestic assault. Plus, it allows for charging repeat offenders with a felony.
State lawmakers in Charleston are on.
Monroe County voters will go back to the polls tomorrow for another excess levy vote.
It is the second vote in the last 4 months.
Superintendent Lynn Guy joins us now in the newsroom. Thanks for joining us, Ms. Guy. First of all, tell us, many are wondering, why the second decision to have a levy vote.
Well, first of all, when the first levy failed, we had to come back and try to capture the revenues that would need to be used for next year. If we don't pass it now, we will not have those revenues for the next school year.
Lynn, there are projections that the county school system is going to need or have nearly a $250,000 deficit at the end of this fiscal year. Now, could this levy be used to pay off some of that projected debt? And if not, how will the board pay off the deficit?
The levy couldn't be used directly to pay off the projected debt simply because we have a call for the levy and that has to be spent exactly the way the call was written. However, indirectly it could, because if we pay $76,000 on extracurricular salaries in the levy and we pay for that out of the levy, then we have that freed up money in the general fund so that if we can use that for the deficit, or we may not have to cut sports if the levy doesn't pass or the levy passes.
So exactly what will this money be used for?
It'll be used for several things. First of all, we hope to raise around $636,000 with that. 40% of the money would go to the personnel, that's the bus drivers, the cooks, janitors, teachers, teachers' aides and whatnot, and 60% of the money would go toward direct services to students, and that'll include textbooks. We're going to end K through 8 fundraising. We want to provide an activity bus in the afternoon, late afternoon for students. We want to provide the sports salaries, $76,000 toward that, provide substitutes, and also some improvements to our K through 8 facilities.
Lynn, why do you think there's been such a concentrated effort to block the levy? You lost the last one. Now this time, the same resistance?
Well, there's a resistance always to tax increases. People have a real strong feeling about paying a dollar more for anything, and this was a much better plan than one consolidated high school.
And finally, Ms. Guy, real briefly, do you think that with this battle that people have lost sight of the needs of the students?
It's hard to say. I think a lot of folks are trying to put the interests of the children first. That's one of the hardest things in education, is to make sure that the politics, the taxes and all those things, we put the children's interests first, and I believe this levy does that.
Lynn, thanks for taking the time to join us.
Thank you.
In other news, new waves of violence in South Africa.
News Center 6.
Time now to find out what is up with that weekend forecast.
Looks like some sunshine anyway, Stan.
Right. I think you're going to like this weekend forecast, even though it won't quite be picnic weather yet.
Woke up to a little bit of snow this morning. It's hard to believe it warmed up quite this fast.
Oh, it's going to be nice, too. It's 32 degrees and clear right now, so
great.
Not bad. All right, folks, let's jump into weather proper as we move closer and closer to the beginning of spring.
Yay,
Not
finally.
bad. Have to
good.
break out the Bain de Soleil tomorrow to get that Saint-Tropez tan.
Oh, yeah.
Coming up next in sports, first round qualifying from Atlanta.
That's for sure. The Hokies and the Cavs open Metro and ACC tournament play. Woody?
Loretta, what did he say? It doesn't matter. But we will tell you who have survived to play another day. The Hokies and the Cavaliers are coming up next in sports. Don't go away.
I'm not going to sing any more suntan commercials, suntan lotion commercials, because Woody doesn't remember them. Either that or I don't sing them right. So
The
I
sun's
just don't
not good
remember
for you
them.
anyway, so it's just as well. Maybe.
That's exactly right. What is good for you is NASCAR, right?
I don't think anybody will disagree with that.
Not around here anyway,
here.
folks. NASCAR's hottest driver of 1994 led to leave Mercer County. Now, what the problem is here, folks, is simply that every 2 years they renegotiate this. A couple of years ago, we had a situation where we understood that they might be leaving. The situation is simply they renegotiate, they re-sign after 2 years, and it will come up after this year, but they will remain in Princeton as we understand it now.
All right. Thank you much,
Certainly
Woody.
hope
You
so,
bet.
yeah.
Time now to check in on the 11.
Barrett, what's coming up tonight?
Well, crime victims in the Mountain State have something to look forward to. Federal funds arrive today. Also, we'll find out how Virginia Governor George Allen plans to bolster tourism. Loretta, Kevin?
Okay, thanks, Barrett. And coming up, our final story about a program that helps preschoolers get a taste of kindergarten.
From start to finish, including a ride on that big yellow school bus.
That first day of school can be pretty stressful.
But some upcoming kindergartners are getting a taste of what school will be like.
Jessica Galati has the story from Bluefield, Virginia.
Bundled up, some walking in pairs. This works. In Bluefield, Jessica Galati, News Center 6.
Seems like a really good program. You know, kids, when they know a little bit more about it, they feel a little more
familiar
calm.
with the character.
Yeah.
Do you remember your first day of school, or do you?
That was definitely back in the dark
They had
ages.
school back
Oh,
then.
clearly.
right?
Well, the dark age didn't even have electricity. This was pre-stand. Oh, excuse me.
You had to
This
watch
is when
TV.
you walked 5 miles and all that business,
In the snow.
barefoot.
Barefoot.
In
yeah.
Texas. That must have been really unusual.
It was.
Watch out for the tumbleweeds.
That's right.
Well, they had to watch television by candlelight, didn't you?
Absolutely.
They really roughed it back
No
then.
electricity.
Thank you very much.
I think it's time to say goodbye.
I think so too. We'll see you later.
You have been watching News Center 6, the region's most watched newscast. 6 and 6.
Is it an omen from Uncle Sam?
On the same day those tax forms are due, we also get our due from Mother Nature.
Good evening. 3 people died in Kentucky and Tennessee from storms today.
And here's Stan to let us know what we could be in store for tonight. Stan.
Well, I asked a few minutes.
Thank you, Stan. The last minute rush is on to mail off those tax returns.
Barrett Van visits one local post office where postal workers are bracing for some long hours.
In Bluefield, Barrett Van, News Center 6.
The state auditor is threatening not to process state checks after June 30th because $16 million has not been appropriated as needed to accounts. The errors were caught after the legislature had adjourned. Glenn Gaynor says the state constitution requires a balanced budget, but the budget for the year beginning July 1st is not balanced. Governor Caperton says he'd rather wait until the legislature returns to Charleston in January to correct the mistakes. He says the money is available, it's just not in the right accounts.
A citizen's petition had...
With the popularity of home satellite dishes on the rise, area residents may be surprised to learn a local satellite programming company is apparently beating the competition hands down. News Center 6's Keith Wilson has the story.
next week.
The McDowell County Solid Waste Authority is also working on other projects. The agency has added a new litter control officer to its payroll. And as Teresa Hamilton reports, Noah Robinson is well on his way to cleaning up the county.
Up the hill.
And while folks are doing some last-minute tax work today, Virginia congressional candidate Steve Fast was doing some tax talk. Fast, who is challenging incumbent Rick Boucher, put on a skit with his 4 children to point out what he calls Democratic tax and spend policies. Fast says Rick Boucher cast the crucial vote for the Clinton administration's tax increase, and for that, Fast says Boucher should apologize to his constituents.
This record in the past has only been to vote for tax increases, for more government spending, for deficit spending. So no, we're very doubtful that he will. But we want to send a message this fall that the people of Southwest Virginia are much more conservative than their congressman is, and they'll do that by electing Steve Fast to Congress.
Fast says if he goes to Capitol Hill, he will only have 1 vote, but he says he will always cast that vote for the working man.
Stan's back in, a working man in his own right, with more on that forecast.
That's right. A lot of people were, and maybe still are if they tuned in late, worried about a possible tornado. Stan.
Well, the storms bearing down on us, like I said before, have changed their intensity to our amusement and appreciation coming into these mountains. More after the almanac and a break.
What a relief that we didn't get the weather they were calling for earlier today, but nobody's complaining.
These magic mountains.
That's
I
right.
know, sometimes we kind of joke about that, but when it's tornadoes,
Yeah.
There's no
They're great.
joking about that. We don't want to see that around here.
Well, they had them just west of us, so we knew it was a possibility. It was coming in strong, then all of a sudden
But
fell
those
apart.
mountains really do help us, and that's
Oh,
fantastic.
yes, I'm glad. All right, folks,
They're
let's
pretty cheap.
jump into the weather problem. Yeah, that's a reward for getting in our taxes. Is that right?
Yeah. I still have to mail mine tonight.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
Oh, gee.
I am such a procrastinator. I have to write out a check for $1,400, so
What
I'm
you
waiting.
do? Oh,
Well,
Okay,
if
now
that's
you
the
know
case,
why.
I would
Yes.
wait until
Yes.
I know.
11:59.
If you have to pay, you do not want to part with that until
That's
you
right.
have to. Yeah.
That's right. Of course, if they owe you money, you're like standing
I
in
want it
line
right.
at the place. Let us in, let us have it.
Yeah, that's
Coming up next in sports, Ernie Irvin has top today's qualifying list from North Wilkesboro.
And America's premier road race is coming right to our back door, Woody.
That's exactly right. And details of the 1994 Tour de Pont.
They're going to be on some Western Flyers. The little tassels coming out of the handlebars.
Wrong
Training
again.
Looking like Pee Wee Herman, right?
Exactly.
Hope not.
Not.
These
the
guys
best
are
of the
lean
best.
and mean, aren't they?
Oh, my goodness. And they're coming right here.
Wow.
It
Greg
looks-
LeMond, doesn't he ride this race before?
Well, they're hoping that he is going to be a part of it, but they do have some great riders already, already committed. So it's going to be a good one. We're talking, of course, folks, about the 6th annual Tour de Pont bike race. High school. Of course, maybe Scott Meadows will put up several three-pointers and do Bluefield State proud.
That's great, yeah.
Thank you much, Woody.
You bet.
Thank you. Coming up, some say adios today to Oakville High School.
The school, like many, is in for some big changes next year, and we'll find out about some special farewells going on there right now.
Oakville High School is closing a chapter in its history book tonight.
That's right. This fall, the school becomes an elementary school housing only grades K through 8. The high schoolers will attend the new Pikeview High School, but tonight, Oakville wants the public support in a whole evening of farewell activities, all to show loyalty to the Oakville they know.
The kids and the lives, that I've touched around here, and it really makes me sad to see the school leave. So it's very important to everyone in the community because it's kind of a meeting place for everyone here. So we're hoping everyone will come out and enjoy themselves tonight.
Open house tours begin at 5 p.m. and get this, 2 alumni basketball games get underway at 6. Through the night, commemorative school items will be sold. Between 300 and 400 people are expected to attend. And she said community school, Oakville is really, that high school is the epitome of that.
Yeah.
And had some great basketball back in the old days. I think won state championship down here back in the 70s.
There you go.
Great. Also, a reminder, the MS Walk, Woody says, will be on tomorrow, rain or shine. Hopefully
That's exactly
sunshine.
right. Don't say a word. Don't say a word.
You got him, right?
We'll say goodnight, though. We'll see you tomorrow.
You have been watching News Center 6, the region's most watched newscast.
They call it an accident waiting to happen. This 100-ton rock's been propped up on these steel support beams since a mining company built this road, probably more than 50 years ago. But this balancing act is starting to show signs of wear. Last weekend, a large chunk of support rock underneath it came crumbling down. The rocks shifted forward about 3 inches, and it's now resting on only one of the support beams. There are 10 families who live on past this rock and 13 school children. None of them have been to school since Monday because parents are so concerned about their safety. This is the only road leading off the mountain.
You have to stay around the hill. You can't go nowhere hardly unless you absolutely have to. I keep my kids home. They ain't going off this hill.
So these kids have not been to school all week?
No. And it's frozen. When it thaws out, what it's going to do?
If it would come between starving to death and getting crushed to death, I guess I'd have to go off and get groceries, but I wouldn't bring my kids off.
And your kids haven't been to school either?
No, mine's not been to school since last Friday.
William Miller has seen a lot of rock in his lifetime. He's a former coal miner, and he says this is one situation he takes very seriously.
I just think it's Mother Nature. It's just been there so long till the earth is just give away, and it's just sitting there on just a licking a promise.
The Abandoned Minelands organization is apparently looking into the problem. They are planning on bringing a representative here Monday to give these families some peace of mind and get their children back in school. It looks like the after effects of a small earthquake, 18-inch rock foundations cracking roads. In other places, asphalt buckling. This metal grate used to be flush with the driveway, and just a few weeks ago, this sidewalk was flat. There are 6 homes along this mine that have seen damage in the past few weeks, and homeowners say the damage continues even today. What's causing it? Officially, no one knows for sure, but these homes are located next to a coal mine, and most think that's the culprit. Doug Abel is a carpenter, and he's been working overtime just to keep up with the damage.
I'm just trying to keep the doors open and the sewage lines running, or anything that needs to be done to make these people comfortable right now.
Who's paying you to do all this work?
Rusty Skews, the man that owns the mines.
Whether the mine owner will accept full responsibility is still a mystery. A geologist from WVU is looking into the problem. Homeowners are waiting for his final report. But the destruction won't wait. Abel says he's noticing more damage every day, and there's growing concern it will be only a matter of days before some of these homes become unlivable. In McDowell County, Loretta Budd, News Center 6.